There are no shortcuts to building wealth today. It takes time, effort, sacrifice, and diversification. But today, diversification means something different than it did in the past. You deserve a more secure way to protect and grow your wealth. At Delta Harbour, we take this to heart. Our mission is to help by inviting you to add physical gold and silver to your wealth strategy. Book a free consultation today and let us show you how to protect and grow your wealth through the ownership of physical gold and silver. Let us show you the Delta difference. Hey everybody, welcome, and it's another session here with Delta Harbour, and we're going to be talking about your money, the investment, which is silver and gold, precious metals, physical metals. If you've not reached out and you're watching this for the first time, we're going to educate you big time over the next little while about why you should consider opening up part of your portfolio to this particular investment. It's a good one, cut especially now. Reaching out anytime. 1-877-7323-GOLD is the number. DeltaHarbor.com online. Delta Harbour with a U. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all Delta Harbour with a U as well on all these social media outlets. But Darren, good to be back, pal. Good to talk to you again. Now, last week we had discussed the possibility of recession. You're convinced. Most of us are actually convinced now that we're into that sucker. It's happening. So let's go through a few different topics today that obviously are going to be, if not have already been, impacted by the recession. What do you say?
Well, first off, it's good to be back. I'm traveling this week, so I'm recording from a hotel room, and it is ultimately one of those things you got to do. And getting back to the norm, it is time to go out and see clients. So we're happy to do it. It's what we do, and we are at the beginning, as we said last week, John, of a recession. Make no qualms about it. This is the front end of a recession, and I don't take that lightly at all. And we are going to see a lot of things change here over the next short while. And as I noted on last week's show, stagflation is more than likely the outcome in this particular recession, which is a horrid outcome for most people. And I dread what is coming down the pipe, John, really for the average person. So we want to keep doing these shows and making sure that average person has a way out, a way to protect their wealth, a way to ensure their wealth. And it's going to be something very much like what we experienced in the 1970s. And it will impact our day-to-day. And because we haven't felt it for a long time, John, I'm not sure that most people are ready or want to acknowledge it. Just a reality.
Well, let's talk about one of the big ones. I know you're partial to this, and you've been involved in it for years, in and out. But real estate. Tell our listeners about where you see it in Canada right now and how it might be impacted by this recession. What do you think?
Well, impact's already starting to happen, as we said. We know that there's a lot going on in that sector, and Canadian real estate prices are approaching what we would call a mile-long stretch of hurdles. Especially, we have the budget coming on the 7th. Easy credit conditions are starting to be rapidly reversed, and then some with of course the knowledge and the insight are looking ahead to what interest rates are going to do to our economy. And ultimately, analysts are saying that quarter point interest rate hikes and the next hike are not big enough. That in fact, what we need is an economy is a half point hike. So if we had one or two half point hikes by end of year, this is going to be a big issue for us, and it's going to drown real estate. Really, what it is going to cut down the stock prices across the board in North America, because they're raising their interest rates in the U.S. as well. And since the Bank of Canada acted so late on inflation, they're going to need a lot more firepower to tame it. And at the same time, we are dealing, John, as our listeners know, with the highest inflation in decades, which is driving 5-year Government of Canada bonds higher as well. The combination between that inflation and higher bond rates are going to push variable and 5-year fixed mortgage rates much higher, much higher. Variable should be in the 3+% range by summer, if we're correct about this. And if this inflation lasts by summer of next year, we would more than likely see interest rates, variables, possibly into the 4%, if not 4.5% to 5% range, making it very, very expensive to borrow money, John.
Yeah, it's interesting how that's going to unfold. I mean, anybody now, especially, younger buyers that are trying to get into this market, they have no idea what a 14% mortgage looks like, but they're going to get a taste of things changing, as you say, in the coming months for sure. Talk about non-resident buyers and how's this impacting real estate. Some say it's just a single-digit section of the real estate market. It's not as big as inflated as everybody might think, but you've got an opinion on that. What do you think?
It's as big and inflated as the topic could be,
Yeah,
John. Non-resident buyers are huge, and non-resident buyers can be, buyers that don't live in the province.
sure.
Remember, you can be a Canadian, buy in Alberta, but live in Ontario. Live in Ontario, but buy in Nova Scotia. This is not just non-domestic buyers, and Canadian real estate is going to tackle foreign buyers as well as non-resident home buyers. And Ontario hiked its is just in the process of doing that now. They've just hiked their non-residents tax rate to 20% and expanded it to the whole province. So gone is the 15% that was there just for basically the Golden Horseshoe or the GTA. Now it applies at 20% to the entire province. So we're going to see a slowdown in rural property buying, rural land buying. We're going to see a slowdown in cottage buying because we're getting out of COVID and we're getting back to normal. That's more than likely to happen.
Mhm.
And, other provinces are joining in, John. This is not just exclusive to Ontario. Nova Scotia is joining BC with Ontario in taxing non-residents also. In Nova Scotia, they've implemented a 5% rate, which is unheard of just a year ago. And also they plan on adding an additional 2% annual tax on property owned by non-residents. And then there are going to be higher regular carrying costs, which tend to be reducing profitability on properties. So if you have higher carrying costs and it's not as profitable, you're not likely to buy as much. So that is definitely going to be passed on to the buyers and to households. And it depends on other factors such as credit liquidity, and a few other things to see how this plays itself out over the next year or so. I expect this will flow into many provinces by the time it's all said and done, though, John, and we'll likely see a slowdown as we are starting to witness right now in real estate buying for sure.
Again, 1-877-323-GOLD. That's the number on the old phone system to call in to Darren and to Rob, the rest of the team. Start investigating, start doing your due diligence, educating about precious metals, silver and gold, how to get them as part of your portfolio moving forward. deltaharbor.com, harbor with a U, of course. And then there's always, as we tape this particular show today, Darren, we're just over a week away from the good old budget coming down from the Liberals. That'll be April 7th when that happens. And I'm sure you feel there might have something up their sleeve when it comes to real estate. What are you forecasting if you could crystal ball it?
Well, in addition to what we've just discussed about the non-residence tax and
Mhm.
higher interest rates, of course, which is the biggest killer of them all, for sure, April 7th could bring us new measures regarding more taxation of some type as it relates to housing and specifically more so to slow speculative real estate investment. Ottawa is leaving Canadians very much in the dark about what they're going to do. So our guess is just a guess right now at this point, but the vacant home tax is all but done. So we know that's coming.
Mhm.
Canada's Department of Finance has been working on the details for the vacant home tax for a while. So far, there is debate on a lot of the loopholes and things that they need to avoid if they're going to do that. But the tax is largely a psychological tax in the first place. So hopefully it will be a deterrent to slow prices down for the average family who just can't afford it anymore, John. They want to break, not just slow down. I will add, they want to break the speculative mindset with these what they call psychological cooling factors.
Oh,
And it's very important, John, when we're tackling exuberance, when we're tackling people who are average folks that have put aside a nest egg and are still going out and will do so this spring, buy a home at a very inflated price, probably in the neighborhood of around 30 to 40% more than it's actually worth, and hope for the best. Hope that in a year from now, that price will increase. They are going to try and obviously pull in some income from rental, But obviously, that's the whole purpose of this discussion, higher interest rates and all that as it relates to real estate. It's to slow the market. So it wouldn't surprise me if they finalize this on the 7th of April in their budget discussion. And, I think, John, personally, that this is the end of those big year over year windfalls, that the real estate market and all its glory is coming to an end, that we're going to see a pullback and a lot of people are going to get hurt. It's that last in, first out mentality. And like we witnessed in 2008 with subprime in the US, the next 36 months, given where interest rates are going, could produce some of those exact same results. Foreclosures all over the place, people losing properties. And I think people need to prepare accordingly.
Okay, so in seeing this happen and knowing as you do, lots of Canadians they've earmarked dollars to invest in real estate sector. What advice would you give them if they're kind of hanging on to it now, going, "Oh, no, we're not so sure"?
Personally, again, you make your decisions with professionals that you trust, and certainly I'm not their planner advisor, but I would say think twice. Be smart and astute. Think forward. What performs well during recession? Ask yourself what will be next. What performs well during hard times or times of uncertain economic stability? Gold and silver, for example, like we offer to our clients, definitely do well. And if you look back just to 2008, the last time we hit, outside of the 2020 COVID recession, because gosh knows silver and gold performed extremely well in 2020. But if you look back to 2008, in that 36-month post stretch, the price of silver went from $8.50 to $49 an ounce, in a huge jump, which made a ton of money for people and gave them the impetus to have disposable dollars when they finally liquidated their holdings in silver and gold, to invest in other markets and to get ready for the next big cycle up in stocks or in real estate. In addition to that, in the same period of time, gold went from $650 low to about $1,920 an ounce. And again, we find gold up near that price, starting a brand new bull run just recently, as well as silver. And I think that diversification is a topic that has to be discussed. You must go to your planners, your advisors, the people you trust, your bank managers, your accountants, and discuss the topic of diversification. Can my portfolio be all paper? Do I have diversification if I have all paper? Many would argue you don't. Many would argue that all paper falls at the same time, regardless of whether you hold, non-corresponding stocks in parts of your portfolio or not. So ultimately, you have to be aware of what performs well during recessionary periods. Prepare for stagflation. As we said, John, I think that this is going to be stagflation, barring a very, very significant change in the direction of the economy right now. I think that we should prepare for stagflation, for recession, increasingly worse geopolitical situations such as Russia, Ukraine. This is going to be a very long-lasting, long drawn-out situation in which, already the news, if you look at media, John, is failing to continue to mention it. Even I don't even barely see it as much as we did just a week ago. Lots of things got in the way, right? Some guy slapped another on some silly stage that means nothing to nobody, and this is the way our society is. Forget about the importance of understanding that tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are being misplaced, and that impacts the world, because Russia is a huge player in exports, all kinds of different things, from metals to food goods. And oil and everything that's getting disrupted in that region, in that zone, makes it harder to get. Supply chain problems. Mark my words, this is going to change the economy. This is going to change the outlook. We can't hope that governments are going to be able to print us into oblivion. They've already done it, and we need a break from that. So remember, there's no limit to how high the Canadian government might take interest rates. This could be historical, John. This could be the highest we've experienced in a very, very long time.
Right.
And the deeper, the higher those rates go, initially, the deeper that recession will go. And the problems that we will have as a result of the stock market failing, people wanting to hoard their money and not put it into the marketplace, people not sure about what tomorrow will hold, they're going to stop spending. And stopping spending is one of those hallmark signs we talked about last week that leads to recession. So expect it. It's here. It's more than likely you're going to see people start to continue to talk about Canada's economy coming to full capacity because it's post-COVID and it's the positive frame set. It's, let's raw them back into it, cheerlead them back into a positive frame of mind. But confidence is waning. Confidence of the people is waning. I would say trim the fat from your portfolio, have cash on hand, John. That's for sure. Eliminate anything that's not going to perform in a downturn. And remember, it serves the interest of the insiders to tell you that Canada's economy will return to full capacity. It serves the banks. It serves the big corporations. It serves the government. It looks good if they can tell you that the economy is coming back to full capacity and we're all going back to work and everything's good and forget about COVID and it didn't exist. It's not going to happen. We're in a time and space right now where you need to protect yourself, protect your family, protect your wealth, and recognize the warning signs of inflation, rising interest rates, wage disparity, high oil prices, lack of wage growth, and recognize the importance of understanding that very little will be said about recession or a downturn, John, until it's too late. They're not going to warn you of it because they don't want to. They don't want to be the person who has to talk about it. And ultimately, that means we should be preparing now. We should be thinking about what's best for us. Take ourselves into, take our wealth, take our families into consideration, and do what's best for us. And ultimately, those are all the things that I would be thinking about right now.
You need that good physical hedge, pal, and that would be some gold and silver, some precious metals. That's what you offer, the physical variety, not paper stuff. This is stuff you can actually hold and store, keep on your not on your person, but in your home anyway, if you choose to do so. 1-877-323-GOLD to do that. Tell me what the buying options are, Darren.
Well, John, it's interesting. Before we got on the show, we were a little bit late to start today, and that is because I took a call. A wonderful couple in Sudbury, husband and wife, obviously taking the time to consider their options, wanted to do a price check on some bullion, some silver in particular. And we discussed our first option, which is buying online and buying through consultation by phone call, coming into office, sitting down, making a purchase and taking it home. Taking it home is the option. Storing it at home somewhere, hopefully safely, hopefully you have a plan, is the option that you can take right now. Now, this couple in particular wanted to spend upwards of between $500,000 to $750,000, and all their concern was initially was, are we the cheapest? Wow. And so there were a lot of questions that were asked, a lot of answers given, and by the end of the phone call, it was, well, this is our information. We want to hear more from you, Darren. We like what we see. We like the sounds of working with Delta Harbour. Let's get more details. So the second one we discussed, storage. And that option to store means it's safe for the client. Being able to put your bullion in an insured, recognized vaulting depository that has the credentials of world-class vaults, that is something that we pride ourselves in being a part of. And we do that for all our clients. Storage is inexpensive. It starts at 1% of the total metal value per year and goes down from there. And it's an option for any of our clients to safely store their product, to have access to their product when they request, to be able to touch and see and hold their product, to be able to audit their holdings, to be able to buy and sell by phone. And that's liquidity, John. So if you're keeping your bullion at home, remember, you got to get it back to us to sell it. And then in addition to that, taking that storage aspect a step further, John, we can obviously offer, as we've discussed many a times, the registered accounts, putting gold and silver in your TFSA or RSP, or your locked-in RSP, or your LIRA, pensions. I mean, your RIFs, LIFs, RESPs for the kids. I mean, all those options are open. You can use existing money from other institutions and bring it over to us. You can start a brand new account, but you can put physical bars of gold and silver and coins of gold and silver into that vault in your name and have the same added advantages of both buying the undervalued asset in gold and silver, as well as the wonderful advantages of the TFSA being tax-free, capital gains tax-free, and the RSP, which means you can defer your taxes, which is great as well. And then, of course, the Delta Vault account. This is the bulk bullion option, where if you're a client, you want exposure to physical bullion. You don't want to pay the high premiums for bars. You don't care if it's 100-ounce bars anymore, and you care if it's 1-ounce coin. You just want silver and gold in physical form, and you want to keep your costs low, be able to convert it, take it home if you want down the road, or say, hey, Darren, listen, premiums have come down. It's a good time for me to convert the 100-ounce bars. Hey, perfect timing. Let's take that into consideration. And that's what our Delta Vault account does. So it keeps the cost of buying extremely low and doesn't force you to declare the type of bar you want, gives you exposure to gold and silver. And in addition to that, gives you the option, but not the obligation, to leverage your collateral. So if you have 1,000 ounces of silver, you can use it as underlying collateral in order to buy up to 80% more in physical gold or silver. So you could really, really take a good trip as the prices increase and up your return on investment, John, dramatically. Those are all things we can discuss. If people go to our website or individually, we can send out that information to them via email. But we want them to get educated. Just like these people from Sudbury, husband and wife, blue collar, 9-to-5ers all their life, retiring, have a big chunk of money they want to put aside, don't have faith in the banking system anymore, do not trust the way things are right now to have their money in a bank. So they want to break it up, and this is what they're doing. It's an option for them. So lots of options, John, and all starts with a visit to our website.
Yeah, it's interesting. The one you always talk about is the registered accounts, and I love that one. It's a no-brainer. A lot of people, unless they're really on the ball, don't realize how much room they still have in either the RESP, RRSP, or even the TFSA. And a lot of people don't even know what that acronym means now. And it's such a no-brainer to get physical metals into those accounts. That's got to be my favorite one for sure. And I know you guys offer that, so that's a beauty as well. That they should definitely be reaching out to you and finding out and working with your partners in that regard too, right?
Absolutely, and we can walk them through it. Remember, when you open up an account with Delta Harbor and you work with us and owning gold and silver, we're there every step of the way. We never ever leave the client. They're always able to call us up at no additional cost, none, and pick our brain about the bullion markets, pick our brain about different types of accounts, ask questions about different types of bullion, really just be a guide to walk them through this, their own personal guide. And that registered account is no exception. A dashboard like any other trading platform in our partner Questrade. And we will set that up and help the client walk through and then get the physical gold and silver into their accounts. So it's an easy account to do. And we're always delighted to help them through it, John, for sure.
Another edition of Hard Money is in the vault, so to speak. You want to reach out now that we're done for this particular episode, you can do so. 1-877-323-GOLD. Again, 1-877-323-GOLD. Simple number. Reach deltaharbor.com. That's Harbor with a U. And that's either email, the website, or YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, all those different social media platforms. You search Delta Harbor as well. And we'll catch you next time at Hard Money.